Troubling times ask for a calming complication. And there's nothing as relaxed on a watch as a Moonphase because it puts our existence in a bigger perspective. But of course people often ask if you really need such a complication, and then your answer might be just yes, and the matter is solved. So luckily, Frederique Constant has announced a new addition to its Classics Carree for later this year, and it is in fact a Moonphase. So let's begin with the specifications. This Classics Carree is an automatic watch with a case width of 30mm, a length of 42.3 and a height of 10.5mm. Lug width is 22. The watch is equipped with a sapphire crystal and is waterproof up to 30 meters. Movement is the FC333, which is basically the Cylinder SW280, operating at 28,800 beats with a power reserve of 38 hours. The watch comes on a calf leather strap with two different dial colors, and the price is indicated in Swiss francs with 1,695, which are 1,833 euros or 2,137 US dollars. Let's begin with the dial now. We have a very conservative layout, typical for tanks, and simple at first glance, but at the end with a lot of details. Tradition has opted for a pure set of dolphin hands, unloomed and color-wise in correspondence with the high polished indices. Also, the railroad track is a rather traditional element for this type of watch. Sometimes you find it also on the outer edge of the dial, sometimes like a little frame in the center. Then we have a sunburst brushing around the indices and a guilloche pattern around the hands. And of course the star of the new ensemble, the Moonphase, nicely integrated into the dial. By the way, to make it functional with ease, you find a sort of a simulator on the Frederique Constant webpage where you can type in the date and then you see the correct Moonphase. The Cylinder SW280 offers here a very simple quick set. Position 1 like setting a date, position 2 then for setting the hands. The caliber is not super handsome though, but we have some contrast thanks to the color of the rotor. By the way, this more depth there stands for Modèle Dépose, which is French for something like registered design. And you find it quite often on Casebacks, especially with vintage watches. Now to the case. Streamlined, high polished, total absence of sharp edges and bevels. Just clean and bright and relatively big. I personally see this as the main weakness of the watch. A tank over 40mm creates something bold on the wrist, which goes in my opinion slightly against the genre of the watch. Especially the blue dial here, which is a real stunner color-wise, will create a very dominant look on the wrist. And important to notice also that with this type of watch, the lug width cannot be chosen freely. It must follow the case width. Otherwise, one would destroy the overall appearance of the watch as sort of a strap around the wrist without a protruding case. So wide case means wide lug width. Worth mentioning is also the crown that brings us a nice reference to the 20s. Basically, you find two types of crowns on 90% of these watches. That little wheel, very flat and functional, and this onion type crown. At the end, all of these elements create something very convincing, especially when you take into account the manufacturing quality Frederique Constant offers throughout their entire lineup. This together with prices that are by no means low, but also not inflated. And one last word about value. I regularly scan platforms like eBay for Frederique Constant watches, and the number of interesting models there you can count with one hand. Plus, they're not cheap on eBay, which means that they are value. So that's all for this episode. Let me know in the comments if you are in mood for a Moonphase. Thanks a lot and see you next Monday to Watch of the Week.